May 6th, 2025, somewhere over the Red Sea. The flight deck of the USS Harry S. Truman blazed like a floating metropolis. An F-18F, Super Hornet from VFA-1, known as the Red Rippers, was on final approach. The crew had executed this maneuver countless times, at night, in stormy seas, even under enemy fire. But this time, something gave way, literally. The jet made perfect contact, proper angle of attack, tail hook deployed, touchdown right on the center line. But instead of the brutal deceleration from the arresting cable seizing the hook, there was nothing. A loud snap, then the nightmare sound no sailor on deck ever wants to hear. Full afterburner, a jet screaming off the edge. The arresting system had failed. Whether it was a snapped cable, missed catch, or tension malfunction, the outcome was identical. No stop, no time, no second chance. The aircraft barreled off the angled flight deck, too low, too slow to climb. For 2 heart-pounding seconds, it looked like the crew would perish with their jet. But both aviators ejected, barely clearing the ocean's surface, just moments before their Hornet vanished into the sea. The black rescue choppers were already airborne before the sea had even settled. White foam still marked the last known spot of a $70 million fighter when those twin-rotor aircraft roared off the deck, vanishing over the horizon. Within minutes, both aviators were retrieved from the ocean, alive, shaken, bruised, but remarkably lucky. It could have ended there, just another near miss in a combat zone for the Navy's elite carrier strike group. But this wasn't about luck or a random glitch. This ran deeper, far more alarming, because this marked the second Super Hornet to disappear from the deck of the USS Harry S. Truman in less than 2 weeks. And on a carrier, that's when murmurs turn into sirens. There's a difference between misfortune and systemic collapse, and that line had just been crossed. This wasn't merely a crash. It was a breach of trust, a disruption in the cadence of carrier aviation. On May 6th, a system believed to be fail-proof failed. And when that system is the thin line between a safe landing and catastrophe, its breakdown becomes more than mechanical. It becomes a red alert. Landing a Super Hornet on a carrier depends on a tailhook catching one of 4 arresting cables stretched across the deck. These aren't ordinary ropes. They're steel-reinforced cross-deck pendants linked to massive hydraulic engines below deck. The Mk7 Mod 3 arresting gear. It's an engineering marvel designed to absorb the full force of a jet moving at 150 miles per hour and bring it to a halt in under 2 seconds. When it functions, it's fluid. When it fails, chaos erupts. That night over the Red Sea, the landing went by the book. Stable approach, hook properly deployed, correct speed, but on touchdown, the cable, one of the most vital pieces of carrier aviation, snapped. Whether due to internal wear, improper tensioning, or an overlooked maintenance issue, the result was the same. The cable failed, the jet continued, and then it was gone. Margins aboard a carrier are razor thin. With 30-knot winds, a shifting deck, in a hostile sea, there's no room for error. If the cable fails, the pilot must slam the throttle for a bolter, an emergency go-around. But even that requires time. This time, there was none. What's most disturbing is that this wasn't supposed to be possible. Carriers are built on layers of redundancy, 4 wires, multiple hydraulics, continuous inspections, every landing logged, every cable inch-checked and retensioned. The safeguards are constant, yet somehow the cable still gave out. That suggests something far more systemic. As investigators dug in, they uncovered another red flag just beneath the surface. On April 28th, less than 2 weeks prior, another Super Hornet never even made it to the catapult. While being towed in the hangar, a clamp slipped, a checklist was skipped, and the aircraft rolled off the deck into the ocean. No pilot aboard, no mission underway. Just routine handling that turned into a $70 million blunder. That's not chance. That's not a fluke. That's a signal flare in the dark. 1 jet can vanish under extreme pressure, but 2 jets in 12 days with no enemy fire isn't wear and tear. It's unraveling. Carrier ops are built on precision and rhythm. Launch, recover, refuel, rearm, again and again, day and night. In the Red Sea, under real threat, that tempo turns brutal. The Truman wasn't drilling. It was actively countering drones, monitoring missile sites, tracking unknown radars, and responding to real-world threats. Missiles launched, convoys attacked. Every day, Truman had to stay ahead. This pressure affects more than pilots. It grinds the entire crew. Maintenance teams run double shifts. Deckhands cook under the sun during scorching recoveries. Ordnance teams race the clock. Flight controllers juggle dozens of tasks to keep ops running in inherently unsafe conditions. Over time, cracks form. Maybe someone missed frayed cable fibers during a midnight check. Maybe a towing crew rushed a checklist to clear the hangar. Maybe someone spoke up, but got overruled because there wasn't time to delay. When the pace exceeds capacity, safety nets stretch, and stretch too far, they snap, just like that cable did. The real loss isn't just hardware, it's trust. Trust in systems, trust in inspections, trust in the idea that the gear will hold when you land. 2 jets lost in under 2 weeks doesn't just dent morale, it destroys it. Doubt spreads like a contagion, from the cockpit to the maintenance bay. Everyone starts questioning if today's landing will be the one that fails. As investigations pick up, that doubt reaches beyond the Truman, all the way to the Pentagon. 2 aircraft lost in quick succession, without enemy action, triggers sweeping internal reviews, audits, and scrutiny. One probe is focused on the arresting cable's mechanical breakdown. Another is assessing deck operation compliance. A third is evaluating Truman's overall operational tempo. Early findings suggest there wasn't a single point of failure, no silver bullet. Instead, it was a convergence. Fatigued hardware, inspection lapses, overused components, pushed past service limits, and worn-out crew after months at sea. The system didn't break because it was faulty. It broke because it was exhausted. The Red Sea adds another layer of punishment. Its heat and humidity warp metal, degrade electronics, and strain hydraulics faster than usual. Cables expand and contract. Tension systems need more frequent tuning. Even the deck itself buckles under relentless heat, salt, and stress. And if you think adversaries aren't watching, think again. They're probing, studying patterns, launching drones, firing missiles, looking for any crack. The Truman has dodged every strike so far, but it's burning through fuel, parts, and stamina to stay afloat. And the scorch marks are showing. Good people, skilled sailors, capable officers, they're nearing the breaking point, and when fatigue sets in, mistakes follow. Not due to negligence, but sheer exhaustion. And exhausted crews don't always catch a faulty clamp or flag a bad cable reading. They trust the system until it fails, which is exactly what happened, twice. And unless change comes fast, it'll happen again. Quiet talks are circulating about pulling Truman from high-threat areas, swapping in fresh arresting gear, even rotating out fatigued personnel, emergency fixes, reinforcements, short-term stand-downs. But the mission hasn't paused. Truman's still at sea, still flying, still recovering, still operating in the world's most dangerous waters. Only now every landing feels heavier, because next time, they might not be so lucky. What really sank in the Red Sea on May 6th wasn't just a jet, it was confidence. Confidence in procedures, confidence in the routine, confidence in the carrier rhythm that usually operates like clockwork. But that day the gears slipped, and when the gears slip, lives are lost. This wasn't just a mechanical hiccup. This was a warning, a blaring sign that something fundamental is stretched to its limit. You can replace a wire, fly in a new jet, patch the physical damage. But rebuilding trust? That takes time. And right now, Truman's crew is running with that trust fraying at the seams. So here's the question everyone's whispering, but no one wants to say aloud. What happens when the next jet lines up? Tailhook ready, radar hot, and the pilot hesitates, not because of enemy threats, but because they're not sure the gear will catch. That hesitation is more than dangerous. It's existential. Sound off in the comments. Should the Truman be pulled from the Red Sea before disaster strikes again? Or is this just the reality of being the Navy's tip of the spear? One thing's for sure, this wasn't just a mishap, it was a warning. And the next failure might not end with survivors, and the next failure might not end with survivors. Because when systems fail repeatedly, it's not just hardware that breaks, it's faith. Faith in the ship, faith in the process, faith that when a jet launches into hostile airspace, someone behind the scenes has done their job, double-checked every bolt, every line of code, every strand of steel holding that operation together. But now with every arresting gear failure and each avoidable incident, that faith erodes. The USS Truman isn't just a carrier, it's a symbol, a floating fortress projecting American might across contested waters. Its very presence is meant to deter aggression, to signal dominance, to reassure allies that the US Navy holds the line. But what happens when the deterrent becomes the liability? When adversaries start seeing opportunity in chaos? When cracks on the flight deck become leverage for psychological warfare? You can bet they're watching. Houthi commanders, Iranian naval analysts, even distant eyes in Beijing and Moscow. Watching to see if the world's most advanced naval force can hold its edge under pressure. If the systems that took decades to perfect can endure more than just enemy fire, but time, fatigue, and strain. Truman's crew is still holding the line, but they're doing it on muscle memory and sheer will. And every day they remain on station, the margin for error narrows. The cables stretch thinner, the rotations run longer, and the stakes grow higher. This isn't just about fixing machinery. It's about restoring confidence before another $70 million jet, or worse, another life, is lost to a war without bullets. Because sometimes the deadliest battles are the ones we fight within our own systems. Let's hope Command gets the message, before the ocean claims more than just steel.